And she heard a voice say, "Oh, come and sit with me. I'm so lonely." And Simmery thought, "Oh, okay." And then she remembered, "Don't go over there." So she ran quickly past the house until she came to the hovel. And when she came to the hovel, she knocked on the door 3 times. She snapped her fingers, and all of a sudden, she was in the house. But it was dark. "What are you doing in here?" said one voice. And someone said, what is this? What is this place?" And then the voice said, "I think we should just eat her up." And Simmerine tried to reach for the door, but where she had come in, it was a solid wall. "Oh, can I see who's talking to me?" "We can do that." And immediately there was a little light in the room, and all around Simmerine were 6 dragons. And if you want to find out the rest, you'll have to read the book. The next book that I'd like to talk about is James and the Giant Peach. It's by Roald Dahl. And it was written a long time ago, but it's still very appropriate because everybody who reads it, they just love it. In this story, James and the Giant Peach, the main character is a little boy, 4 years old. His name is James Henry Trotter. James lived near the ocean with his mom and his dad, and he loved it. Oh, he would go paddle in the ocean, and he played with his friends, and he built sand castles, and he just had a wonderful time. And he loved his mother and father, and they loved him, and they just had a wonderful time. Oh, James's life was beautiful. And then one day something sad happened. His mother and father went to London to go shopping, and this is the terrible part. They were eaten alive by an angry rhinoceros that escaped from the zoo. James's life changed because no longer did he have a mother and father who loved him very much and lived by the beach. He had to go live with his only 2 living relatives, 2 aunts, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker. Now, his mother and father had been 2 loving, kind people, but Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker were mean, evil, horrible women. Aunt Sponge was big and fat, and she looked like a wet cabbage. And Aunt Spiker was tall as a stalk of celery, and she wore glasses that she kept down on her nose. And they didn't call James my little honey lamb or my little poopy-doo. They called him, "You little nuisance! You miserable little creature! Get out of here!" And they wouldn't cook, so he didn't have a lot of food. And they just made him do all the work. Well, poor James. He'd ask, "Can we please go to the beach? Can we please have some children over?" "You better shut up before I beat you. You little lazy good for nothing thing. Now get out here and chop some wood." So James went out in the yard and he chopped the wood, and the axe was so heavy for him he didn't know what to do. And one day, while his aunts were sipping lemonade, and he asked for some, and they said, "If you spit this again, we're gonna get you, you little thing!" And he was so scared, he ran. He ran. He ran all the way to the other end of the garden. And as he was there, and he was hiding from his aunt, he heard a noise behind him. Oh my goodness. And there behind him was a little man, almost as small as he was, with a big bald head. And he says, "I have something for you." And James said, "For me?" "Yes. Come look at my bag." And he had a paper bag. "Just look in here, look in here." And he opened his bag for James to look in. And James thought he saw the most wonderful crystals, and they were beautiful. And the man said, well, if you take this home and you put it in some water and you add something to it and you shake it till it gets nice and foamy and drink it down, then you'll never have another miserable day in your life. James said, oh, that sounds pretty good. And before you know it, the man disappeared, and James thought about his aunts, and he started to run back to the house because he didn't want to get in trouble. And as he was running to the house, he fell, and the bag squished open, and all the little green things fell out. Oh my goodness! He tried to pick them up, but they started squirming around, and as much as he tried, he couldn't get them. And before he knew it, they all had disappeared. He went back in the house. He didn't know what else to do. And then later that day, he went to sleep, and the next day when he got up, much to his surprise, where all the little green things had disappeared, there was a tree with a peach on it. And Aunt Sponge came out. Look at that nice peach up there. I think we ought to get it and have it for dinner. And Aunt Spiker said, yes, I think we ought to have it. It should taste pretty good. And as they looked, she said, wait a minute. I think that peach is growing. It's getting bigger. And bigger. And bigger. And as they looked, the peach got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it was bigger than the tree. It was bigger than anything they had ever seen. And then Aunt Spiker and Aunt Sponge got an idea. I know. We'll charge people to see this peach. And so that's what they started to do. They started advertising for people to come and see this gigantic, enormous, humongous peach. But they wouldn't let James stay out there with them. They locked him up in the bedroom. And they took money. And they took money from everybody. And they kept thinking, this is a wonderful thing. We're going to get rich. We're going to be rich. We're going to be rich. Well, when they opened the door after everybody left and James came out, he was pretty sad. And he just walked around the garden. And he felt the peach, and it felt so nice and smooth. And he leaned up against the peach. And he looked down, and there was a hole in the peach. I wonder where that leads to. And he crawled inside the peach. And he crawled inside the peach some more. And he crawled some more. Until he felt this hard thing in front of him, and he realized, this is the pit of a peach. Oh, wow. I better go back. But when he turned around, the tunnel was gone. And he heard a noise. And as he moved the stone out, there was this lovely room that had some very friendly insects inside. Oh, come in. We've been waiting for you. Inside the peach? Well, to find out what happens next, read the book. You'll have to read the book. I want to say thank you so much for letting me share my stories with you. I didn't get a chance to share The Magic Thief, but I'm going to leave this with Miss Fox. And you can check it out if you like. And you can find out what this book is all about. Don't forget the other books that we've talked about. James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. And Dealing with Dragons by Patricia Reed. Thank you so much.